All right. Hello, everyone.
Hey, bro.
You're listening to the UFO podcast. And yeah, you're here with John Shad and Dwayne Logan. Say hi to the people, Dwayne.
Hello, people. How you doing? This here is John Shad. We work together. We're good buddies and friends. Wouldn't do these without him.
Oh, yeah. So the year was, we'll call it like 1990.
Okay.
Right? You're
Okay.
back from touring Europe.
Yep.
And you go to your mom's house. You visit your mom.
Yeah.
And you pick up the newspaper. Was
Yeah.
this the LA Times?
Yep.
I guess at the time, yeah. Pick up the LA Times and read the newspaper, and lo and behold, there's an old friend on the newspaper. Why don't you tell us about that, Dwayne? Tell us about your friend you read about on the old paper.
Yeah, this old friend, I wouldn't really call him a friend. He's an interesting person to have met. But he was a lawyer type of person in Beverly Hills, up on Wilshire Boulevard around Rodeo, I believe. And he had a whole 8th floor to himself.
Yeah.
And it was kind of a crazy guy. You know, a lot of energy, wanted to be a movie star, wanted to make movies. And once, I told him, well, we were, renting equipment to do videos and music videos and production stuff. He just thought that was one of his tickets in. And one time he actually contacted an actor called Tom McLaughlin, who played in a film, 2 of them, I think, called Billy Jack. It was really, really popular. And they had the theme song from One Tin Soldier as the musical soundtrack for the film.
Oh, wow, yeah.
He was a kung fu guy, and he was really good. He had a lot of energy.
Mm-hmm.
And, excuse me here. Excuse me, sorry about that.
You're good.
And so he'd had Tom Laughlin over to his house. He lived up on this mansion on Mulholland Drive. But he just had the craziest ideas, craziest stories for films, for action adventure things.
Yeah, successful guy.
Very successful. But he's like, there's a phrase like, he doesn't get along well with the children in the sandbox.
Yeah, he doesn't play well at the sandbox. Yeah.
That's this crazy lawyer guy.
I think I was reading the story on him because I looked it up once he told me. And I believe the words from a judge was arrogant and pompous.
Yeah.
That's coming from the judge.
That would be tame.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
So you meet this successful guy.
Yes.
From the story you told me, you met him at sort of like an outdoor sports store.
Yeah, it was like, the A16, the REI, what's the big Field and Stream one,
Yeah, yeah.
The jackets they have and all that stuff.
North Face.
North Face, yeah. So stuff of that caliber, really, really high-end stuff and beautiful stuff,
Yeah.
And so I was in there going to buy a gift for a friend. It's around Christmas time. And I hear this guy, a customer, which was this lawyer guy, arguing with a salesperson there in the store. And the sales guy was trying to sell this lawyer guy on this particular kind of revolver or something. And I don't think he knew much of what he was talking about, but the lawyer guy probably knew less, but he thought he knew more. And he's just berating this guy, just being a real ass.
Yeah, I've been to a couple of those stores too, and you get a lot of egos floating around in those stores.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you intervene.
Well, I felt sorry for the sales guy because, it's Christmas is a stressful time. People don't need crap from an arrogant customer.
Yes.
And this guy was just being a jerk. And so I was trying to say, well, he's right here and he's wrong there. You're right there. You're wrong there. And he goes, who the hell are you? I go, I'm a nobody. He goes, what do you know about weapons and guns? And I go, well, my family used to be involved, in that kind of stuff for the government. My dad had a machine shop. I lost a piece of finger. See, oh, too bad.
Yeah. You know a little something about that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So I told him off, and he says, well, what's your name? And I says, I don't think I want to give you my name. It was just so obnoxious. Anyways, well, here's my name and number. Call me. I want to meet with you. And I go, okay, well, we'll see what happens. And it was a crazy chance encounter, so to say.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I actually did contact him because I told my mom about him. Like, I met this crazy guy in Packmeyer's. And she says, you have to invite him over for Thanksgiving dinner. I go, why? He's such an ass. You know, I didn't want him saying all kinds of dirty stuff to my mom because my mom was kind of a, you know, there's just things that she wouldn't say. And the lawyer guy would say anything that popped into his mind, no matter what it was.
Yeah.
So,
So yeah, you had him over for Thanksgiving at one point.
Yep.
Or your mom did.
Mom did, not me. Mom felt sorry for him. So he must not have any friends. I said, kid, imagine why not, Mom? Anyway, so she invited him over. He showed up in a Rolls Royce, green Rolls Royce. And
this was to Inglewood too.
into England, yeah, she says she might have me check and go out to make sure it was still there like every 30 minutes. And he brought Mom a beautifully hand carved in ivory chess set. Not that Mom knew how to play chess, but it was the thought that counted. And she thought that was very sweet.
Sure. And you guys had dinner and good night, or
we had dinner, and he was always preoccupied. Well, Mom had a lot of antiques in the house. And he was like a kid in a candy store, you know, and he knew a lot about history, but he didn't know much about the things of the history, so to say. Well, we take this Smith & Wesson that he was looking at, or this Colt he was looking at in Packmars. Things he knew, okay, it was made in Spain, this model, whatever. But he didn't know any of the fine points or sometimes some of the broader pictures of the brush, you know.
yeah.
Whatever. He was smart. He got through law school, you know.
Yeah. Tenacious.
He was tenacious, yeah. And he had several different wives. I forget if he had kids or not. But he'd call me up and say, I want to do this. And, you know, it was always something to do with a car engine, you know, something special.
You were telling me before this that, you know, you guys got involved in cars or something. You guys would do like work on cars or
Well, he had a very strong interest in exotic cars, but he really liked cars with race engines. My dad used to design and build some engines for a well-known racer called Phil Hill, and I don't remember if the crazy lawyer had heard about Phil Hill or not, but he always liked that. So Mom says, "Well, go show him some of your dad's cars." So I did, and I showed him. Most of them were like 1920s, 1930s vehicles.
yeah.
And he liked them all, you know. So he had an appreciation for nice things, but
These were the ones that came from
King of the Roads.
King of the Roads. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
We got to
So,
get back to that.
Right. So yeah, you showed him these, you know, old school cars at that time. 'Cause
Right.
This was maybe what mid 70s, we'll say.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that would be about right.
Right on. So then
And-
he takes off.
He takes off and he calls me up after a couple of weeks, and I'm going, clunk, you know, I don't need this right now. Come to
Yeah.
my office. I need some help. I go, I thought you told me I was stupid. He goes, no. I was I'm just kidding. Your mom makes a great turkey. Then he hung up the phone. So I called him back. What do you want? He goes, well, I need some help here on a project I'm doing. I'm doing a motion picture, you know, and I maybe you can help me. I don't have all the time because I have so many criminal cases. Yeah. So one for him. And so I went up there, and evidently he wanted to build the yacht. He liked big boats.
Yeah.
And he had shown me the schematic charts of what this thing was going to do and how big it was. And he could take stars out on it and trying to get rich people to come out there and help finance his movies. Which is, you know, how they still
Right.
do a lot of that stuff today.
Sure. Yeah.
Why not?
Mm-hmm.
So I went up to his house, and he's saying, well, you know, I want to go ahead and film a story about a guy who takes yachts and insures them and then destroys them.
This was a film he was trying to do.
Yes.
Right.
Sometimes the truth is stranger than, you know,
Yeah.
the fiction.
And in this film, he wanted to build a yacht.
Yes. They were.
And-
His character would build a big yacht, maybe a couple. He said he hadn't worked it out yet.
Yeah.
And it was there's certain scenes he definitely wanted to film, and he wanted it on a real yacht. Maybe he had to rent one, or he would just buy it, and then he would rent it to the production company,
Of course. Yeah.
which he owned. You know, I didn't know the fine points of all this stuff. I was just trying. my mom thought it was very nice. He sent the hand carved chess set, so that's why I'm doing up there at his office,
Yeah.
trying to return that favor. And so I says, let's get this straight. You want to go ahead. Your character goes out there. Your star goes out. He's looking at for a star. Oh, I'm looking at this guy, this guy, this guy. Maybe this actor. And go, oh, gee whiz, these are millions of dollars. Oh, I have millions of dollars, and I'm going to go ahead and insure these for millions of dollars. We're actually going to sink it. Well, it's not that they don't. They made a kind of a model of a Titanic that was pretty big to scale, and they sunk that, so to say. So why not? Anything's possible in the movies.
Make a miniature.
Make a miniature, a big one, But so he wanted to have this real size yacht built, and he was going to take it out, and somehow they're attacked by, like, they hire a guy who is a Russian who was a submarine commander, and he's the captain of the ship. And it turns out that his crew is kind of like criminal guys, and they maybe have dope hidden somewhere in the yacht. And then as the Italian Coast Guard is coming to investigate, they figure they better sink the yacht. And so they start drilling holes into the hull of the ship, and they're going to sink it. Well, when he told me that part of the story, I said, there's no way that could happen, because I've already looked at the schematics that they sent you, and it's got basically buoyancy chambers through the ribbing in the hull. I says, you're going to have something that's going to crush the hull and make a big rip in it. Mm-hmm. So the opening will be so large that the volume of water will flood the buoyancy chambers, and your storyline, your ship will sink.
Yeah. Just trying everything not to use an iceberg.
Or dynamite. Yeah. Oh, yeah, he wanted to have some dynamite to blow it up. That might be better. Big flames going off at night, and we have, 50-gallon drum of gasoline mixed with oil.
Right, it's got to translate through the screen.
Yeah, and the thing about it is he was so specific about certain things that he wanted. I wonder, like, has he ever done any of this stuff on his own, or does he hang out with a very dark group of people?
Yeah.
And I said, we're talking about a movie here, right? And he goes, oh, yes, yes, yes. I go, okay, good. So I turned in names of companies that had hardware that might facilitate what he wanted to do, and I said a lot of it comes down to, like, the more you flood it with water, the quicker it's going to sink. Then you get your shots. And if you don't get your shots, you have to put an inflatable buoyancy bag inside in the hull and bring it back up, so you can go ahead and do the shot maybe more than once or five times if you need to. But they had, I guess at some point decided to really sink this thing. There was no movie, and he just had a couple of yachts built, and over 5 or 6 of them, and he had been going around sinking these things and trying to put them in the deepest part of the ocean where they didn't have the technology to recover them.
Right.
And that stopped a lot of investigation. They couldn't get to the ship.
Yeah. And I do know that, there was a point where he got this hardware for his movie, and he invited you over to his house to show you this hardware.
Yes.
Right? And you told him this is a little too much to play with.
Yeah, what it is, like, he knew... after a while, I cut off all communication with the crazy lawyer guy, because I just thought he's just too out there, But yeah, he'd meet these different people. He was interviewing people for a movie that are Green Berets and secret agents and all kinds of stuff, and he wanted to blow up a house in a show, or the back wall.
Yeah.
And I go, well, you better get a special effects guy, special effects coordinator. You should talk to the fire marshal.
Right.
We're going to do this in my backyard.
Yeah. And, keep in mind, people, that, during this time, there was no CGI. I mean, maybe superimpositions, over layerings of pictures.
Or animation.
Of film, animation, right? Was it rotoscoping at the time? I mean, there was no computer-generated imagery at this time. So it all had to be done live,
For real.
That's why they built a lot of miniatures during that time. Yeah. So you had to do this live. Yeah. It was mandatory that you did it live.
If you wanted that shot in the scene, you had to do it for real. So he found some idiot, somebody bigger idiot than him. And I'm looking at it and I go, is this a prop? And it kept saying explosive, and I'm reading the danger and going, wait a minute. I says, is this a prop? He goes, oh, yes, it's non-dangerous. I go, who sold you this? Oh, it's the guy who does a lot of movies. You probably heard of him. Who is he? I can't think of his name right now. And so I says, well, something's wrong here. And he called me an idiot, called me stupid. And he goes, so what do you think would happen if I put the battery here and do this? I go, I don't know. I think I'm going to leave before you get started. Because if this is real, this is dangerous. And I don't think the city's going to like this very, very much.
Yeah, this is up in the hills.
This is up in the hills, yeah. And they were doing demolition. They were building a road up there on Mulholland. And they were preparing land to put in concrete
Yeah.
pillars.
I think, the 14 freeway had just been built at least 5 or 6 years
Okay.
before that. So, there wasn't a lot of roads up there. There was still, the infrastructure wasn't there like it is today. So there was a lot of construction going on.
Yes.
So you bail.
I says, I'm getting out of here. I says, you are just too unpredictable. He goes, oh, you don't believe me? You don't believe that it's really real? I says, I don't care. I just think you're dangerous. So I'm getting in my car. I'm heading out this really long driveway.
You were saying he had a little spark in his eye, a little spark of madness.
Absolutely mad. He was just, he had a painting he had done on him, a representation of his. If you have an animal creature, what would it be? Well, his would be a combination of a monkey and a mad dog.
His spirit animal. Yeah.
Just out of control. And so as I'm driving out of here, it's boom. I go, oh my gosh, that was real. He was so full of shit. I just kept on driving and figured, well, I'll probably see it on the news tonight. I don't know. I just wanted to get out of there. And he was capable of doing crazy things. How big was the blast? I don't know. I didn't stick around to find out. I didn't come back to find out. I just wanted to get out of there. Figure, I hope he's got all the permits in place for this because I don't know. Yeah. But he was crazy.
Was that the last time you saw him that night? You just cut all ties after that, or?
No, I saw him before he went on his trip to start shooting plate shots for his ships. And I got all kinds of stories that kind of contradicted each other. We're going to shoot 3 ships on one day and 2 ships on another day, and we'll be changing clothes. I says, well, I hope you got the wardrobe all worked out, and you got your sound, and all kinds of stuff. And he was as wild as a March hare. And yeah, I would imagine he was probably a pretty good attorney, but
were you advising him to not approach it this way?
Yes. As far as the ships go?
Yeah.
Yeah. I says, this is not going to work because you got those buoyancy chambers. What do you know about building ships? I don't know shit about building ships, but I'm a scuba diver, and I've been on some things where we go and recover stuff, and I just don't think this is going to work. I think you're going to lose all your money. You're going to lose all the investors' money. You might get sued, and you'll never get a movie made. You'll never work in this town again. Those,
Yeah. Yeah, and bringing it back to you coming back from Europe and reading the newspaper, lo and behold, there's your old buddy there.
There's my old buddy, the crazy lawyer, yeah. And I said, hey, Mom, guess who's in the newspaper? And I'm reading it to her, and she goes, he really did that? I go, I don't know, but that's what the story says. And at first I thought it might have been a pre-publicity stunt.
Yeah.
But nope.
What was the story?
Well, the story was basically he'd insured this ship. He'd had a 71-foot yacht built, and he hired a crew. Supposedly some guys are in the film industry, some guys are just guys. And he hired a guy who was a Russian submarine captain. And what were they doing? Oh, he just wanted to sink it. But he had to tell when the Italian Coast Guard showed up and to save them from drowning inside his ship, he told them that there were pirates that were looking for money. The pirates thought maybe they had drugs on board. They were illegally drug running or something like that.
Yeah, they saw a big yacht in the middle of nowhere and thought they can get a hit.
Yeah, nobody seemed to be armed or anything, And again, I didn't go because I says you don't have enough preparation. You don't have the right people. that I think you need to pull this off and have a good looking scene.
Right.
And I says, don't do it, And there were times I go, are you not trying to do this thing for real? Are you? Well, we have to do it for real. What are we going to use? You can't make a miniature this big. And again, we didn't have the technology back then. We didn't have CGI, didn't have, artificial intelligence.
Of course.
You drew it in, you animated it in,
Yeah.
or you built a big miniature.
So back to the story you were reading.
Yeah. So
Pirates, Russians,
Yes.
Italian coast,
Yes.
72-foot yacht.
Yeah. 71-foot yacht.
And what did they find after this?
Oh man.
What was he trying to do? Because it wasn't a movie.
It turns out it wasn't, of course. Yeah, no, it wasn't a movie, it turns out. He'd insured this ship. I forget if they sunk one ship or more on that particular trip
Yeah.
out. And the Coast Guard came to save them. They put a cover story out there that pirates had held them. And then the Coast Guard held him and was investigating for several days. And they couldn't, I think they released him. And then I guess he was so emboldened to do it again.
Those damn pirates.
Those damn pirates. He went ahead and did another one.
Back to back.
If at first you don't succeed, try again.
Yeah.
At least he didn't give up easily.
Yeah.
And he was crazy. And once I finished reading the whole story and going, wow, this guy is so out there in another planet. So I guess he was found guilty, he and his whole crew. And I think he served, I don't know, 7, 10, 12 years.
Yeah, I think I was reading it was he only did 7.5.
Okay.
And he had to pay back, I think it was like 3 million. That's all.
Something they were saying like that, yeah.
But I mean, that's pennies on a dollar for.
Now, what's
I'd
kind of
imagine.
funny is when they had the sentencing for the crazy lawyer, he wasn't there in court to hear the sentencing. You're supposed to be there when the judge passes sentence.
Right.
And his attorney said, well, he's recovering from a heart operation. So everything with this guy, or most everything, turned out to be a con of some sort. And anybody who was foolish enough to get involved with him also suffered the consequences of his actions.
Yeah.
I think personally it would make a real funny movie. His story of this thing, because
Go ahead.
I just don't read many things like this that are for real. Like, you got to be kidding me! Somebody really did this for real? And you read the story. He got away with it with, according to the publication, what, 5 or 7 or 6 ships or something?
Dude, if he had, I think it was 36 claims, insurance claims
Okay.
that I think he was paid out on. There was one claim he did where the insurance company wasn't going to pay out on it, and he threatened to sue them, and he got paid.
And yeah.
Dude, this guy is tenacious. I mean, this type of guy that, films are based off of.
Yeah.
Like more bigger than life kind of character.
Bigger than life.
Yeah, I mean, to go to that extent, I mean, that's pretty insane.
Yeah. And word would leak out from some of his people about what he was planning next. And I says, don't even call me anymore. I don't want to know that you're going to go to jail with him the next time out. Just don't do it. That was my advice to his people. And I guess he lost his law office and he lost his license.
From the website, that law website, whatever, he was disbarred, unfortunately.
Can't imagine why.
But yeah, I think it would make a great story to, make a film. I mean, probably a streaming show more than anything. I can see you.
A
milking
weekly
that.
episodic?
Yeah, I think so. Because there's a lot more to it than what you were involved in.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
And it's out there now. They have it. It's been reported in court.
Yeah.
It's all public information now.
Yeah. How old is he now?
The crazy lawyer, he's got to be in his late 70s, I'm thinking.
Do you think you can get a hold of him? We'll talk about that later. Maybe not. We'll call that. We'll say no right now.
He could be a technical advisor.
We'll say no. Absolutely impossible to do. But we'll touch base on that, man.
All right.
Jeez. Yeah. Did you, man? Fucking crazy lawyer guy, huh?
Crazy lawyer guy.
Yeah, you were saying he had a painting done of like a pit,
Yeah.
with red eyes or something like that.
His vision of what animal would be his spirit animal. It was this brown painted pit bull. It had big old fangs. His tongue is hanging out, kind of corkscrewed, and he had red eyes and tiny, tiny black pupils. And it was like it was demon possessed. And I going, that's the crazy lawyer guy. It was just so out there.
Mm-hmm.
And then he would have these massive parties at his mansion in Beverly Hills. And he would claim that stuff was stolen by his guests, you know.
Really?
Oh, yeah. I mean, he'd call me up. You must get up here right away. Go, for what? Somebody stole this painting. Somebody stole this whatever. And I said, why don't you just call the police? You know, I says, you're really too much. And I just hung up on him, you know. But I guess he had hope for me that he could turn me with the force, Luke.
Yeah.
And I don't know.
He thought he could be pretty persuasive to you.
Well,
Make you a team player.
he thought he could. And
Yeah.
and I just felt he was too dangerous. He's a nut. I think I really felt this guy should be in therapy since birth, you know. But whatever, you know,
Was it a white dude?
yes. I forget what foreign country he was from originally.
Oh wow! So he
Yeah.
came to America from somewhere else.
Yes, he did.
That's really interesting.
Yeah.
So he really was. He really came out here and he started living the American dream then, huh?
Yes, he did.
To the fullest extent. Man, he took the system for everything it was worth.
Everything he could get.
I think that in itself is in its own way, what is it? Almost it's poetic, you know. It's almost like these mythical gods you read about
Okay.
in mythology and how
Right.
they were powerful and mischievous and they got away with certain things, but sometimes they fly too close to the sun.
Icarius.
Yeah, Icarius, and he lost his wings because of it.
All right. Yeah, I
Pretty
mean,
amazing.
if he had focused on legitimate law practice, he could really be, I'm sure, something very special. But he wanted to be a star. I think he wanted to be a star himself.
Yeah, I think being around all those people up there in the hills, it kind of, you got the money,
He had the
you
money.
you have the access,
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes you want a little more than that.
Yeah. Well, women flocked to him not because he was good looking or a nice guy. It's just he had money, and my mom felt sorry for him, and I felt he was a pathetic character.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's there's always more to a story. You just got to decide, what we're going to do with it.
Of course.
So we'll see.
Awesome, Dwayne. Well, thank you for, being willing to open up and tell us these stories and,
Well,
explain your side of it and, your thoughts on
Well-
all of it because you're a wise guy.
well, it depends how you mean that. But no, it's been really fun working with the number one, on set. And, I'm glad we're great friends. And I thank you for what you're doing here. I have no idea of this electronic stuff. I'm really pretty ignorant when it comes to that. I'm another generation, didn't do computers. Our most up-to-date thing was Radio Shack TRS-80 Trash 80s or teletypes,
Right.
But,
Yeah.
hey, you learn a lot in the process.
Yeah, you're an analog dude, that's for sure.
I am.
All right, man.
Hey, have a great night, bro. Thank you very much.
You too, man.
Thank you, everybody out there.
Yeah, we'll wrap this up and thank you for listening, everyone. You're listening to the UFO podcast. We'll see you next week.
See you next week.
Say bye to the people, Dwayne, over here.
Bye to the people over there.